Hello, everyone. I'm Ronan Unchained. We're back to discuss this beautiful, fucked up franchise and characters that I love so much. This one is nuclear. This one is infected. May I say? It is filled full of cordyceps and love and anger and disappointment and honesty, I think. But yeah, we're gonna get into it talking about HBO Max's or HBO, I guess. And I don't know what the fuck they call themselves nowadays, but we're talking about The Last of Us, season 2, episode 6. And I can't do it alone, so that's why I got my buddy Jarrell. If he shows his face, what's up, Jarrell?
Yo, coming in hot.
Folks, as always, each week we say that we're gonna talk spoilers. We're ripping the band-aid off on both the game and the show. So if you have not watched the episode or play the game in some form or fashion, please do so and come back and hang out with us. If you would like to hear our thoughts and know what we felt like first time hand, my reaction is up on the channel. Feel free to go check it out. That sounds so egoistic of me plugging myself, but it's there. It's the film don't lie. It's right there to see how we all felt vocally and visually. But I do think we have a lot to process, not only about the episode itself, but news that has been coming out as of recently from both Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann. This episode was very much, as they said, a bottled episode, and yet it was enhancing on why this story is being told and the consequences of both sides, both that were affected by the death of Joel Miller and by those who did the act. And I love that they've been echoing that sentiment in the podcast making up that I highly recommend you all go listen to. But in this episode, we spent time in the 5 years in between from when the first season ended to where we start off in season 2. And we do get a little trip back into the 80s to Joel and Tommy's childhood. And we'll get into more details later on. But Jarrell, we've seen this episode for a while now. We've had time to simmer it. I know I've been doing stuff, and this episode always came back to me either because if I saw something or I heard a song or something like that. Before we go into deep details of each sequence, each scene, how are you feeling after this piece of art been living within you?
Well, I've been struggling with season 1 and season 2. As you know, I think season 1 is good to decent. Season 2 is shaping up to be the same, if not worse. But I will say though that episode 6 was my favorite episode from both seasons so far. We have not seen episode 7 yet. But so we haven't seen the future on that yet. at least not yet. But yeah, I don't know. I loved episode 6. It brought up everything that I love and everything that I intensely don't like about the show. Which is unfortunate because the game is a masterpiece.
Sure. Yes, and to give people a heads up that the 5th episode ended with this, hey kiddo, and then hi. And so we had to wait a while to be like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Come on, bro. Well, I mean, what do you what's your rating for season 1?
Season 1, I think it's if it's not a 10, it's like a 9.5. I really like it. Yeah, like again, and it's me because that first game is so perfect for me that I understood that this was an adaptation and I wasn't gonna get full on gameplay the way I felt game. But I remember saying it that like with Craig Mazin involved, I'm like, there's no way this is bad. Like they have to go out of the way to fuck up this adaptation, and specifically the story and the journey to take these characters. And so taking in that like this is not the game, this is a show adaptation, and then it's not Ashley Johnson and not Troy Baker, it's Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
I really dug that first season, and to me, by the time we finished, I was like, that's the best adaptation of video games. I love Castlevania, and then come knocking afterwards was Fallout, and I really dug Fallout, and I was like, Fallout gives Last of Us a run for its money. And then a few years later, or a year or two later, Last of Us comes knocking back. Oh, we're back. You want violence? You want action? Here you go. And thus far, I've really been digging this season. I think it's just as good. But having said that, and this is coming from perspective of gamers. Me and Jorah have played the game. We have experienced the game, and we know what's going to happen. And yet we don't know how we're going to get there. And yet this show, what I appreciate a lot is that it still has surprises for us. And so in that aspect, it's fascinating to see how a part of this story is being told now and how highlights are popping up where I didn't think it was going to pop up that as much as of now. Like, for example, the one thing we've all been raving, I think unanimously, was Isabella Merced as Dina has been like the MVP of the season, like just like running the ball. I'm like, I got you. We're good.
Literally, if it was not for her, I probably would have just walked away. I'm being serious. I'm being serious. Like I really want to clarify this. Like I do think that Bella is good as Ellie. And there's a good argument for great in spots. But I wouldn't say the whole time. Well, for me, I've spoken about this before, but you guys just don't like it. But I think that Bella was miscast. I think I genuinely think it should have been Kaylee Spaney for real. Like, I'm not joking. It's a very weird paradoxical situation to be in, because again, it's not like Bella's bad. That's what sort of complicates it. Because I thought that in episode 6 she was pretty wonderful, which it's weird because it's almost like this whole time she's been good, and then there's this one time where at least after hindsight I was like, holy shit, she was really great.
They were great.
Druckmann should be directing. First off, these episodes. Okay, are you listening, Druckmann? Okay, you should be directing every single fucking episode. Okay, clearly you have more in-game experience, quite literally. So
literally, that's a pun.
Why is he not directing more episodes? Why doesn't he just direct all the episodes, or like half or something? Like, if he's gonna do this one, so am I wrong? Like, it was such a great episode.
In the Ellie perspective, I reject your hypothesis. I love you, bro, but I disagree with that. And we've had this convo
with the Bella thing.
Yeah, we've had this, and I love Kaylee. From Ellie and Romulus. I thought.
You think Bella is the best? Do you think she's like the dream choice, the chosen one? Like let's say like Hugh Jackman with Wolverine. Clearly, this nigga is like the chosen one. Like it was meant to be. It was fate. Truly. Are you saying it's like that?
Hey man, even with Joel at one point, I just kept saying, "Give it a Hugh." Like, he's playing an iteration of Joel through Wolverine, through Logan. I'm like, but the thing I appreciate with Bella, and you really can sense it in this one, is that like she's going from, because I think we have to like settle this now that like season 2 is the starting of the metamorphosis of Ellie. That this is not the same kid that we followed and cared for in season 1. What I appreciate Bella is doing, especially with this episode, is that she was instantly went back to the kid perspective and kid vibes when it's, we'll bring it up later, but when she eats the cake or when she's going like this, like in all of the.
I'm not denying. I'm asking, do you think she's the one, that she was the best choice?
Yes, I think, and again, it has to be I take into account that like she can't do fully what Ashley did, and nor can Pedro did. Um, and again, in terms of Kaylee Spaney, who I think who also would have been, I think, a great choice. I've only seen an Alien Romulus. Like I haven't been exposed to much of her work like that, so I can go. But then again, with Bella as well, I knew she was in Game of Thrones, but this was my first experience with Bella's work, and then I went back and saw a little bit of Game of Thrones. I'm like, oh, okay, I know why people um, were fans of her beforehand. Um, but yeah, I would state that like, yeah, Bella was the right choice for Ellie. But having said that, and I've said it, Isabella is running point guard this season. Like the material she's given is just running with it. It's a highlight. And yet I'm not discounting the moments that are different from the game that I'm appreciating that Bella's doing. Like, in the previous episode, she said, like, the fuck are we doing? We're about to have a kid. I'm like, let's go back, and having those moments of like analyzing what are we doing and where we're at right now. And I appreciate that. That's different and more and a remix, as you said, remix of the games. But yeah, I've really appreciated what Bella has done in the role, and I'll stick with that today. But then again, we can happily disagree and talk about it onwards. But because we are here to talk about episode 6, I want to first highlight some comments that we've got, and we got J Hart Rick. I think this episode is getting an Emmy nomination too. If they don't, that's highway robbery right there. That would be like shock of like, you really not gonna highlight this episode? Like, oof.
Have they gotten any Emmy wins or?
I don't think the nominations have been starting yet, but season 1, almost every guest starring performance got a nomination in that season, and like that show got love during season 1. So I'd be shocked if it didn't get any love this season.
Did season 1 win anything for?
I believe it did. I'd have to go back and double check, but yeah, it did win. Like I know instantly. Storm Reed and oh my gosh, Bill. I think of the character first and not the actor. Nick Offerman. I know Nick Offerman and Storm Reed won Emmys for their performances in season 1. And,
yeah, that's right. That's right. He did.
Eagle Neal says the episode had 3 generations of Miller men doing the best they can as fathers, from Joel Sr. with Joel Jr. and Tommy and his son, and Joel with Ellie. It also harkened back to that ice box conversation between Gail and Tommy about nature versus nurture. So much of what makes Joel, Tommy, and Ellie who they are was there from the start and became ingrained as they got older. The series began on Joel's birthday celebration before everything fell apart. And if you think about it, every single one of Ellie's birthdays celebrated without disaster, you begin to wonder if Joel was just counting down the moments until disaster reared its eventual head on Ellie's next birthday. As you notice, you never see Joel's birthday celebrated during those 5 years he avoids. Well, yeah, that's the night before Outbreak Day happens. Then, like the plague. I like how they remixed 2 specific scenes from the game: the conversation between Joel and Tommy when Tommy asked Joel about what he did, and the conversation between Joel and Ellie outside the abandoned Firefly base in Salt Lake City, and condensed those 2 scenes into a singular porch conversation between just Joel and Ellie. And as Joel reveals what he did, by the end, you can see the weight lifted off his back he's been carrying around his whole time. This episode reinforces the parental point of view that has been there from the start from Joel and Sarah, Joel and Ellie. And in each instance, Joel has had to make split-second decisions to protect. Yes, T. I completely understand all those stuff, and we're going to get into them, I promise. A friend of ours is going to be joining us soon, but until he's fully locked in, I'm going to wait.
I have a really good question for you, but
go for it.
I lost it though. God damn it. It'll come back to me. Fuck. I have so much to say about game 2, or season 2, whatever. Same shit.
But speaking of saying a lot about this is our paisano. Samuel Leggett Jr.
What's up, man? The man, Sam.
What's up, man?
Y'all? What's going on, everybody?
How you holding after letting this simmer in your soul? Like,
man, life comes at you real fast.
Mhm.
Whether that's watching it or having it happen to you. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about episode 6 specifically, um, I think that they layered 5 years, and even more when it came to Joel's backstory that I could have ever anticipated in a very beautiful way.
Yeah.
I think that that might be Pedro's. That scene with Pedro and Bella on the porch may be Pedro's best scene as Joel in this series, and maybe one of his best like moments that he's had from an acting standpoint.
Yeah.
There was a lot of true raw emotion that he kind of just disappeared. Like you don't see you don't see Pedro anymore. I think that Jarrell said this sometime last year. Like I can't remember what the scene was or a moment was where Jarrell was kind of describing it, but that scene specifically, um, Pedro was in his bag and he was everything. But it's not to say that Bella wasn't, because it was a push and pull. We were on the same roller coaster as her. From her perspective, like, you were selfish. What you did was selfish. We were talking about it. One thing that I'll say about the game versus the show, the game, we ended the first game, you feel what you feel, right? About his decision. The second game made you deal with the consequences of that decision, but you never left with a true resolution to it. When Bella was kind of like, because you're selfish, and then he countered that, no, it's because I love you in a way that you can't understand yet. And then they referenced it back to his dad. Hopefully you can do it better. Like, that gave like a true, for me, resolve of his decision. Yes, it was the selfish decision at the end of the first game and the end of the first season, but you truly do understand, like, he would do it all over again, yes, but there's a true defining reason, and that risk versus reward was more than sufficient for him. And I've been waiting to get that, because I think we've been discussing it for years. For
Mhm.
years, we've discussed,
Mhm.
like, man, he's not a good person, but he's not evil per se, but like, that's a selfish thing to do. But because he's a man of few words, like, we never really got that, I want to say, real closure, because not only did he die, figuratively speaking, but Joel, the character, actually died. And so when we got that moment, it was, I don't know, like, I think I broke down. I don't think I've gone back through my reaction. But I feel like I may have had some tears drop out for sure during that.
Editing that video was one of the hardest things I've ever done as someone who does YouTube. Like, it was, I'm supposed to edit a video, put out the best of us reacting to an episode of television, and we're emotional, and I'm watching our stuff, and I'm like, fuck, should I even put this out? Like it is, it's too much, and yet that fear just like, that's why I love this franchise. It gives me that moment to like let anything out that you don't like to think about or you don't simmer about on a daily basis. But yeah, yeah, we all did like, and I love that we did in different ways. I think you were the one that did it best. You and Joro did it best, trying to hold back tears. Although I know I did notice. I think Jarrell was just shocked. He was just like apoplectic, and I was just like, "Fuck you guys!" I'm like, you guys are doing it so well. It's almost like revealing. Oh yeah, I have 21 blackjack motherfuckers.
I'm a terrible crier though, unfortunately. It's like the 100 times that I don't cry, the one time I do, I cried 1,000 times.
I remember your Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 review. Yep, I remember being like, yep, there he is. Speaking of someone who I'm pretty sure did cry, and I feel bad that like we're doing this right after he first seen it the first time. But I know we had to get him on, was Gianni Bravo.
Yo.
How you holding? How you doing, bro? He literally just watched it.
I literally just wrapped the
Whoa!
episode.
You just watched it, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, I had like a work trip this weekend, so I missed it. Yeah, I have a headache from crying, dude. That was a lot. That was a lot more than I expected it to be. I mean, I know I was gonna cry, but I didn't think we were gonna get everything we thought or everything we got. I don't know what you guys have like talked about so far, so I don't want to like just like jump ahead. But wow,
No, we were just like digesting that. Like, we've been a lot of us. I think all four of us we've been waiting to see when they would tackle this and how they would do it. And from the first episode, we were like, "What the hell are they doing structure wise? Like, what are they doing?"
So Ronan, I remembered my question.
Go for it.
So, or it's probably appropriate because I think it's like just a few seconds into the episode. Austin, Texas, 1983. Right, this flashback that wasn't in the game that's been really fucking me up. But I was listening to a little bit of the podcast because the podcast is quite great. I can't listen to all of it, Troy, because I'm struggling with the show, unfortunately. But Troy is great, and there's a moment where Neil is talking, and he says something that caught my attention. It's like a weird through line. He was talking about how his dad used to beat him when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And that like he confronted his dad about this actually. And there's like an air of that with Joel and his father. Sort of like this. It's like this bad nature gets a torch is passed on, if you will. I don't
Hereditary.
really. I didn't want to say hereditary because it is still a choice, but I mean, he just chose it because this is what my dad knew. I love my dad, so it must be accurate, But I was curious, like what you thought about that in regards to the Joel that we once knew.
Yeah. Fuck no, I'm not gonna cry. That first of all, that episode of the Making of podcast should have been 2 hours long. That is one of the greatest things I've ever listened to in my whole life. And I was like, when we finished watching it the first time, I was just like, I need that making of. What happened? How long did it take? What did they work on the longest? And what's weird that that opening reminds me a lot of that whole thing from season 1 of like him having that scar on his forehead and him saying, "Oh yeah, I got shot at and whatnot." And then it wasn't until the finale that like it was me. I was the guy who was shot and missed. And dude, Sam, it was like it's like yesterday right now. I could see us both being like, "What the fuck?" But us being like, "Of course." Why would not he want to like ever cross his mind of hurting himself and like ending it all? Like that, it makes logical and plausible sense. Like look at him, like even look at me, like yeah, he probably at one point thought about it. This cold opening reminds me of that. Like this tracks with the way Joel's behaved, and I love that even they highlighted that like this time the reason why. Shout out to Tony Dalton for joining the Last of Us family. We'll see him soon in Intergalactic. But why this time Javier Miller didn't hit him? And it's because he realized that Joel chose to protect his brother through violence. And it clicked in him. And I love that even they went through it. They're like, all right, this time I'm going to tell him maybe me telling him why I am the way I am. He understands it better. And again, I think it was the first time probably for Joel being like, we could, and remember folks, this is the 80s. Kids were hit. It was just the thing that like it tracks. And what's almost even more of a rare thing, people talking about their emotions, men talking about their emotions in that time period. I can't imagine how foreign of an idea that would be. And to see Javier Miller like break down and be like, I hope you do a little better than me. Like that, fuck man, that is, I told you guys, I may or may not have had that conversation before, and it's scary how much even close the words and the time was spent talking about that. Like I've heard a story or so like that before. And so I feel that like, I'm appreciative that Neil was willing to share that with us. But it also tracks with the writing. It feels so personal, so human. And it doesn't feel like, oh, well, this other post-apocalyptic thing did it. Well, we got to do it. It was like, no, it's just one time, just spend 5 minutes in the past and let that simmer and tell you where this person comes from. And you may not agree with it, you may agree with it, but it tracks and you understand more. And I think that's something that, like, even other doctors said they like to reiterate. So I like to pose that question to you all. And for those who are knowing, it's the cold opening where we go back to the 80s and we spend a day with the Miller family and we see where Joel's violence comes from, and maybe not violence, but his need to protect comes from, and it's from his connection with his brother, with Tommy as kids. It's the connection he has with his father, Javier Miller, played by Tony Dalton, and just the fact that they were willing to open up that for us is very, very. We are greedy. We we're spoiled for that. So, how did everybody feels about that opening, and what do they take away from that? Those thoughts.
First off, Tony Dalton is being overly underused in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep.
Like, they got this man as a darn sword master, and I was like, I didn't think the man could act at all. He man, he set the tone for this.
Yeah.
He set the tone for the whole entire episode. But I think the thing about it, you don't have to be a biological father to impart something onto your children, right? And I think you hit the nail on the head that when it comes to Joel and how he is psychologically, he's built to protect by any means necessary, even if he puts himself in his own detriment. But at the same time, he doesn't know any better. And unfortunately, it seemed like, I mean, I don't know how his relationship was with his wife. I don't know if she passed away. I don't remember, to be honest with you guys. I don't know if they became estranged because of him. Because I mean, you have to know how to be a dad. You also have to know how to be a husband. So it's really interesting seeing those peeled layers of Joel's psyche just based on that small little interaction or moment. But I think the thing that hit the nail on the head is that Joel's opportunity to be a dad was robbed from him. It was literally taken away from him. And so, like, when something like that happens, you're literally a living zombie. You're a shell of yourself. And then he had another opportunity to be able to live and maybe do better than what his dad suggested he could be. Because for all intents and purposes, he looked at it like, oh, I failed. I did worse than my dad did because at least I'm still alive. My daughter died and it was on my watch. And so it's kind of like, for him, it makes so much more sense that he could not do that. He could never go and just let something happen to Ellie, because truth be told, his dad suggested him do better than what I did, and he already didn't. So it's beautiful poetry. And I just don't know how Neil wrote this, man. This is intensely deep, and there's so many different layers to it that I feel like we're just kind of uncovering. Honestly, I would have been fine with this episode being spaced out to even more, but that's me being selfish. If we had a 10 episode season, maybe it could have bled into 2 different episodes. But I think that the way they handled it with that scene set the tone for everything, and it was masterfully done as far as the acting and how they're handling the pacing with it as well.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll let Johnny talk about that, but like the fact that he brought up his wife and like what happened, like did they just divorce and why? And it's also like we also don't see Mama Miller in this episode as well. It's like what happened to Mama Miller? Did she,
Nope.
who knows? But yeah, Johnny.
I was just super caught off guard. I was just like, wait, what is this? And then, you get the Texas, like 1983. I mean, I was just like, wow, like I knew we were getting flashbacks. I didn't think we were getting a child Joel flashback. Like that really caught me off guard. And then seeing Tony Dalton walk in, dude, I like flipped out a little bit because I like Lalo for Better Call Saul is one of my favorite characters just in a show ever. So anytime I see Tony Dalton, I'm happy. And as usual, did a great job. I just love that scene. Like you guys have been saying, like it just shows his instinct to kind of protect and look after people he loves pretty much. And it kind of really just emphasizes that, shows where it comes from. Really, really cool just to see that. Also, just, get a little bit more of Joel and Tommy. Even as kids, you get to see their dynamic a little bit. And obviously, like in season 1 and stuff, when Joel and Tommy are talking, he always felt like he always had to take care of Tommy and had to, like it just kind of fleshes that out even more. Yeah, I mean, I think you guys pretty much said everything that needed to be said. I just wasn't expecting to see that at all. Like, I never really thought we'd get like a childhood Joel scene. So that was pretty nuts. I was kind of shocked, like once it was done. But yeah, it was a great little nugget to start the episode off with. And yeah, like it's kind of like Joel's origin in a way, which is crazy. I never thought we'd get something like that.
Yeah, I've seen folks who are watching. They're like, "Is this the right show?" What because at first they couldn't tell the kids and it was Sam who spotted it because I was just like, "Wait, what's happening?" And it's like, "Yo, they're kids now." And I think it was one of the first few times. Like, it's been a while since I've heard us unanimously yell "Holy shit balls" at the same time. We're like, "What is happening?" And remember, we were trying to tell our friend Jorge, who hasn't played the game. We're like, "Jorge, we don't know what's happening." He's like, "All right, you guys are finally with me." Like, "All right, cool." But yeah,
great surprise.
To me, another thing that like also was very heartbreaking was, I think I have it somewhere. I'll pull it up right now. But like, it was when he tells him, "I hope you do a little better than me," and he wipes his tears, and the last thing he does is puts his hand on his shoulder. And boys, I spotted something right there, and I was just like, "That was Joel's dad." Like, watch, like, what the fuck? Like, that is the layers of that. Yeah, like here, let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Yeah, I was apoplectic of just like, whoa, they just did that? Like, no fucking way. And like, again, you're taking in the information, what's happening between these two individuals, and you see this, and again, it adds another layer of like, it's not just what Sarah fixed up, but like it comes from childhood.
Oh my god, it is. Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. I didn't even notice that. Jesus
Neil,
Christ, wow.
you are
fucking dude. Oh my god.
Yeah,
of course this is the episode that was super late too. I couldn't listen to the behind the scenes or anything yet, dude. That's crazy. Wow.
Oh Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's
I usually get to watch the episode twice before I hop on here, and I literally saw it 5 minutes ago. Like, this is crazy. Wow, I did not notice that at all. That's insane.
Yeah, that's a brutal thing to talk about right after.
Yeah, we got some comments from J. Hart Rick saying Bella did great this episode. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I think she plays child Ellie better. That I can understand more. That like she plays game 1 Ellie better than the game 2 as of now. I'm digging what she's doing now. It's different, but I couldn't understand that sentiment. And he also said that I think it would be difficult for one actress to play Ellie both seasons. That varies. If Ashley Johnson can do it 2 different ways, and again, that's also have to change your voice and the mannerism that you carry yourself. I think it's plausible. Shout out to my friend Skriller Wolf, watching this episode right now. She was one of the people I met at the exhibition at Gallery Nucleus, and it was cool to So hi, how you doing? Hopefully you enjoy the episode, and get your tissues out. But that leads us into something that I've been waiting since the first teaser, and you hear a little bit of Pearl Jam in the background. Well, first of all, it starts off with Joel meeting up with someone we've known, and they're just like, what? And the fact that like Seth says, "Oh yeah, I used to be a cop," and it just like, again, that shove has now new layers behind it. It's like, okay, not only did you just call my daughter a dyke, it's like you were a fucking cop, and you're just as brutal as what I remember my father being, and it's just like layers, y'all, layers with this fucking show. And he says that a trade's a trade. I need something for tomorrow, and you're like, what? And gets the bone piece, and Joe is doing his thing that we again was showcased and alluded to in the game of being a craftsman. He starts making Ellie's guitar. And again, what a weird time these adventures the Miller family has now is that like Ellie burns her arm, and Theo Tommy comes in to help her out, and the baby girl, they're like, it's okay. She wanted to wear short sleeves again, dude. This shots like these are just spoiled. We're just spoiled with just like. Don't forget, y'all. HBO, there's fans here. We're not just doing this to make a buck. We're fans of this material and whatnot. You got the moth drawings in the background. You have a room. I think that's Dina laying down, which is against right from the fucking game. But Joel had ordered Seth to make her a birthday cake for her birthday, and again, the layers of that are just like, what did Sarah want? She wanted a cake for her birthday, and he forgot. This time he didn't forget, but unfortunately, it's spelled Eli and not Ellie. And I'll let y'all talk about it, but this sequence of her diving into it, eating up, and then him like, this here they call it guitar, and just them bothering this whole sequence was just of richness. And then saying, "Sing for me, sing something, play it." It was beautiful. It was beautiful. What did y'all think about it? Because I'm gonna start crying if I keep talking. Let's start with Johnny and Jarrell.
I mean, I'm just so happy that we got that sequence. Because the game starts off with it. So when we didn't get it, I was hoping that maybe we would eventually. But just even like I always love that line with some folks call this here a guitar. Like I always just like that one.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like it's just. Just in general, this episode basically gave me everything that I've been craving from the Joel and Ellie stuff. But yeah, this scene was great. I love how they reworked it from how it was in the opening of the game to make it fit this scenario. Making it be on Ellie's birthday, the guitar being a gift, seeing Joel actually like make and restore the guitar is awesome. And then just seeing how happy they are, and then Joel singing "Future Days," like it hit, like it hit hard. I don't even know what to say. I'm still processing everything, but I was just like, it made me so happy.
Yeah, Jarrell.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty hard for me because I don't have the perspective you guys have. Like I feel like a lot of the season has been underwhelming in a weird way, but and then like there comes an episode like this one that I just thought was great from start to finish, and I wish there were more episodes like this. But at the same time, I mentioned this before, but the one moment that broke me the most out of everything that happened, but when he was talking to Bella, I think someone else was there, I can't remember, but he was talking to Bella and he was trying to tell her about how the engravings that he put in the guitar, he was trying to tell her the reasons why he put them there, what inspired them to be there. And that that's a heavy one, when you spent time with the character, man, that's a tough one. That was definitely probably my favorite part of the episode because it's very like fleeting, almost easy to miss, but it's just like when you begin to realize like this isn't really like the kind of person who would say something like that.
Yeah, it's not only that, it was when he tells her like, your arm, I understand. And again, the thing of like hurting yourself about it, and like it's fascinating. And for folks who are completist, I know they're like, what about the string and whatnot? It's in the trailer. They shot more footage, and we'll get into another sequence that they shot more footage that is close to the game of her playing the one note, boom. Like it's in the trailer. So I know it exists, but again, it's by design, timing, the duration that they had to do it. But happy birthday, kiddo. Like that just bro, like God, it's fucking crazy. Even I love I'm pretty sure Joel was like he was wishing to like practice himself this song before he would do it, which is why he goes, shit. It's like, okay, fuck, I gotta do this, and it's gotta rock it. And I love that. And you know, Johnny, once you listen to it, you'll appreciate it more. That like much like in the game, Joel doesn't look at her when he's playing. It is not a performance. It is telling her how he feels about it, and it just her lit up like the Joker. Like it is just the and it was kind of heartbreaking rewatching the episode and hearing the making of it like this, saying like this. Most of these flashbacks, it's like this is the best it'll ever be, and yeah, I love that. Like even him being a dad of like, you know, I use this tool right here. You know, it's pretty efficient tool. You know, I might have been this and this, and her being like, and be like, fuck, I'm being a dad. I promised you I'll teach you how to play, and
that didn't suck.
Yeah, man, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine what the hell Troy and Ashley must be feeling seeing that played out. Being like, it's got to feel like the way people do, the way they do Shakespeare or Macbeth, like actors and how next generations do it. I can imagine it must feel like that. Be like someone's picking up the ball and running with it, and
it's gotta be weird for Neil too.
What was that?
It's gotta be weird for Neil too, because like he's like I did watch the behind the scenes like little video after the episode, but not the podcast, where he was like, you know, feeling a lot of pressure doing this episode, and he's talking about how much all these moments mean to him and everything. Like it's got to be crazy to be like redoing everything you've done already, but just in live action, new context. Like it's got to be just a weird feeling. And he kind of even said too, he's like, when you were talking about a certain scene that we haven't gone to yet, is like just watching them just there on set was just like, yeah, I would be very interested to hear what like Troy and Ashley have to say. I have to listen to the podcast, but I know for me it was even weird, like just watching these scenes play out, because they're just so ingrained in my brain of like just some of my favorite parts of The Last of Us, and just seeing it almost shot for shot in a lot of the scenes and like word for word. It was insane. Like I was feeling emotional before like the scenes even started, just because I knew it was about to happen and stuff. Like it was really like it was hitting hard.
Yeah, I'm slowly right now just prepping myself to showcase images, but like folks, that leads us to another year later, which is when Joe and Ellie are celebrating Ellie's birthday again now. She's 16 now. And Joel takes her on a walk. We're going to go on a place that he spotted in patrol. And we get to, you know, again, something as simple as just seeing them walk through the woods like that. And there's no infected. The fact that like Joe cleared it. It was like, no, there's going to be no infected. We're good. We can walk here casually and just talk. That means a lot to me, and that's something that I wish I could do more of, and hopefully we could do more of in the near future. You know, Joel, God damn it, Joel being a dad and be like, "Are you and Jesse, or are you guys the thing?" And her laughing like, "Wait, what?" It's like I see you guys. Like I got a thing for this, and her be like, "I don't know about that one." It's such a dad thing. Before I load up the images, how did you guys feel about knowing that, like, oh shit, we're not just getting one flashback, we're getting all of them in this one episode? Were you guys prepared for that? Or are you guys just like, no, it's either it's gonna be really good or it's gonna be really bad?
Yeah, no, I was definitely not prepared for all that. But I don't know. It kind of comes back to I wish Druckmann directed more. Like it was one of those episodes that like it just catches you fully off guard. You know, I felt like I was locked in the entire time for real. Like that one, the 80s flashback, I think happens within like the first 30 seconds or something. I mean, it's and what was it like? It's like an hour or something. The episode. It's no joke. I was genuinely glued to my seat. Like I said before, it sort of exposes everything that exposes all the positives and all the flaws about the show in this like one episode, which is pretty insane. I don't know. And just to clarify, so Pedro had his last day filming this episode. Is that right?
Filming not only this episode, but the museum sequence was the last thing he shot. From what I've seen in the making of, they did film, or at least they spent time in the exhibit where they see the dinosaur bones, and then, fuck it, I'll show it. They, at one point this does happen. I was just going like, oh shit, that looks like it looks like a giraffe, and I was just like, hold please, a fossil just made its way. He'd be like, Joel, it's for you. It's like,
okay.
That was the
All
only thing I was missing from the museum was, dude, I put that hat on every motherfucking dinosaur in there. I didn't care. I was like, this isn't getting old, dude. Like, this is great. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so
thing.
All right, so Ronan, assuming that they stick to this, I have a sinking feeling that they won't. But let's say that they do, because that's way more fun. And there's more evidence for that, obviously. But how do you think the show can survive without Pedro?
I think it can. It's just that, and I don't even think Craig and Neil were ready for this, that like people love this guy so fucking much that it almost it helps their story of like the impact of loss, and yet it's like, and I almost feel guilty of putting everything on Bella's shoulders. But from what we've seen, I feel like she can carry it onwards. And much like the second part of the game, I'm gonna quote it again. This is not the story you think you're gonna get. Like I there's a reason why I've only played the game 1 time and a half, or 2 times. That's the only reason why I played it, because I see it in my shelf and I'm like, not yet. I can't go back. I can't, like, it's a lot to get into. And in a weird way, I think it's gonna in the long term gonna help the story for this one. That like he's not as much as in it, and yet, like they've said, his presence is felt. That decision also shook Nora, even though esa cabrona called him a little bitch. It shook her. It shook the whole crew who witnessed it and didn't do nothing. The only one who has any claim of anything left is Owen, because he just kept saying, Abby, that's enough. But knowing that like how much Abby means to him, and seeing the effect that Pedro's Joel left on them now, like that's a whole not supposed to. That's a whole other perspective still out there that we haven't spent time with. And so I think the show can still survive. And especially if people want more action, they want more effective. It's like we said in season 1, be careful what you wish for, because you're going to get it. One way or another, you're going to get it. And I think it'll help if we ever revisit Joel again. It'll help make that moment be more impactful. Like, oh, he's back again. Because again, even I've seen reactions. People were cheering and hollering when they saw Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, when they saw the 2 figures, the 3D CG figures coming up together. Like, it had an impact of him being away and then coming back. So I feel like the show would survive. And something that I think. Go ahead, Johnny.
No, I said it'll survive, but I mean it's gonna be like the game in a way where like
yes,
the decision's gonna turn people off, and understandable. But I mean, in my opinion, like I've played the game like 7 or 8 times. Like, yeah, it fucking hurts, but I'm still there. Like, and obviously not everyone's gonna be the same. It's gonna hit people differently. Some people are gonna see Pedro get brutally fucking murdered and be like, okay, I'm done. Just how like people saw Joel get murdered in the game, like, okay, I'm done. And then it's
well, I only asked because I mean it genuinely happened with The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead, I think it was like 17 million people on the season 7 premiere, and you can statistically literally follow the numbers like dropping off substantially after that point. So it's just while it's not exactly happened like that yet, but there hasn't exactly been that many episodes either. Yeah. So it's a curious one, especially because they're trying to go beyond season 3. So
Jarrell,
my bad.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, from my small sample size of people that I've talked to, like at work and stuff, I've only heard a couple. Really, I think one person said they stopped watching the show after Joel died. Everybody else was like, "Wow, like it was fucking crazy," but they're kind of interested to see where it's going. So I mean, it's a very small sample size, just people I've talked to in my job that have come in that like the show. But I've only heard like one person say that they stopped after, or yeah, no, it was two. Two people stopped after the Joel thing. But I remember when The Walking Dead came out, like it was like a pretty good chunk. Like we said,
Yeah.
it was a good chunk. Different circumstances and everything, but yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think because I forget that the Walking Dead seasons are or at least they're longer for sure than 7
So
episodes.
much longer. It's like
Yeah.
too long. Yeah.
Right. That's another thing too. How long did it take people to?
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
Sam, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I didn't know if the question was directed to Ronan or it was for everybody. If it's for everybody, my opinion on it is really interesting because
Sure.
using The Walking Dead as a placeholder, when they made that decision, the show tried to tone itself down to set a expectation for the audience that it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, and it never recovered from that from a narrative perspective. People, it was kind of like it crescendoed and then it went down, and there were certain medium points between 7 and 8 season, like good high moments, but the show itself effectively kind of lost trajectory.
Yeah,
This show
100%.
with this show, what surprised me, and I feel like it's a hypocritical thing, but maybe I'm wrong. Y'all can say yay or nay, anybody that's listening or watching. Those people that, when the game was going on, was like, this is terrible. How dare Neil Druckmann? Like, I hate this. Like, you can't do this to people. Like, why would you make a game like this? Ready to like cuss people out, ready to go and like send suicide and all different kind of like letters to Laura Bailey and all these different people, like just rioting. These people are just having so many different traumatic moments that they were triggered during the game, right? These same people now are like, wait, where's all the trauma? Like, wait, why are you spoon feeding me this ahead of time to give me context so that, like, no, they should get hit the same exact way. Like, the natural audience should feel exactly the trauma I felt.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you're
heard
doing
that.
a disservice. You're not telling the narrative the way it's supposed to be. It's got to be verbatim. So it's kind of like you're damned if you do or damned if you don't. Those people that were traumatized by this game are the same people that are right now like, oh, y'all should go wide open. Like, y'all should go and do this. Like, and it's like they want to say that they want to relive the trauma that they went through, but they don't. And they're using that as a catapult to push negative connotation towards the series. And I think it's not just, I really truly don't think it's just because, truth be told, the experience that I'm feeling with this series, this season, is different than how I felt with the game. But that's not a bad thing. I feel like we're getting more context and more layers to things that I wanted during the game that I didn't get. Now, do I think that that possibly does a disservice to people that aren't gamers? Maybe, but they can always go back and play the game. Truth be told.
It's
This
So-
is true. I just
But hold on,
wonder.
let me finish. Hold on.
Go ahead.
So going into another season, we know, all four of us know what Bella's going to have to do, who she's going to have to become, for good or for bad. Even down to somebody like Tommy. For good or for bad, these characters are not going to be the same characters they are right now.
That's gonna.
So just on that alone, people are going to come back even if they leave, just because of curiosity. So I think this third season, people will absolutely come back. Those people that were fleeting, that left, will come back because they're not going to be ready for what that's going to be, because that's a whole different layer. It's almost going to be the reverse of what this season is. And you're going to look at like, what kind of monster like is Neil Druckmann? Like, I think that's going to be an interesting placeholder narrative for the general audience. I do think that some people will leave. I do think that there are people rallying behind to just add their own conjecture and just push a narrative, and I'm irritated by that because they're the same ones that won't even play the game right now because they're so triggered. But
Yep.
I do think that the show will survive, and I think that HBO is not going to just let it die willy-nilly. And I think that Neil wants it to be rounded out. Whether that means it's going to end on a third season or whether it's going to end on a fourth season, I don't know. And yeah, that's my thoughts. I'm gonna leave it there.
I mean, like, and one thing too, since we're doing like the Walking Dead comparison a lot, like, I enjoyed the Walking Dead for a long time. But that moment in the Walking Dead's mostly for shock value. Like, not really. I mean, like, I'm not gonna say it's completely like narrativeless or anything like that, because I mean it does push the story forward and stuff, but it's mostly shock value in the Walking Dead, where
Sure.
this is like a legitimate story beat. Like, this is the catalyst for the story, and it's also, honestly, it's the conclusion of the last story too. So it's like you get it ends,
True, but
it ends the main or the story that we thought was the main story of Joel from the first game, and it sets up the catalyst of the rest of the franchise pretty much to this point. So it's like,
no, I mean it all matters, but
Mhm.
I guess, like, the game and the show is a slow drip as to, like, ultimately, like, why, like, that
Yeah.
sort of eureka moment, like, what was the point of all this,
Mhm.
I am curious if everyone is willing to stay on the ride for seasons, it sounds like, for us to get that answer. But I think those answers come, but at least for me personally, it wasn't until like the very end where like it truly clicked. And I was like, oh, I get why he put me through this.
I will say too, I think, we'll talk about, I think, a little bit later too in the episode, is like, I think they're also giving you more of the information that like people needed to be on board with the overall story sooner. Where you
A
wait
little bit.
15 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours to get some very important context in the
Yeah.
game, and it's really like Naughty Dog and Neil really put their faith in the gamer's hands to be like, be patient, be patient and be open to seeing where we're going. And it, in some sense, backfired, and in other senses it was, it didn't. But I think for the show so far, they've been trying to really put it in a more digestible way, which isn't bad. I've been enjoying it. And I think it hurts and works at the same time. Because I did kind of like the unfolding mystery throughout the game, but that's also a game where like watching
Yes.
something is different than playing it. So that's kind of the whole point of adapting it. But I think we're going to talk about the next season after next episode. But I think if anybody's going to stop watching the show, it wouldn't be from this season. I think it's going to be from next season.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
there's
and
too much
that's
on
my
that
point.
weight of that side of the story. Like,
That's a
to
great
me,
point.
yeah. And again, I'm gonna be there because I stuck with the game, so I'm like, I'm waiting till the end. And I love that, like,
Oh, yeah.
even they brought up, like, there's a scene that we'll talk about later, or maybe another stream, that like we didn't want to make people wait years till we got to that moment. Now, like, they need it sooner now, and even then they withheld some stuff as well.
Yeah.
So, but something that I don't think they withheld a lot. Well, they did, but I understand why, and I'm glad that they kept this stuff. So as I tease that, Joel and Ellie made their way to a hike and whatnot, and Joel has a surprise for Ellie, and takes her to a dinosaur, and it's a fucking dinosaur, and then I'm on a motherfucking dinosaur, and just seeing that shot and this shot, dude.
I really did not.
Lord.
I really did not need those images, but I understand though. Really didn't.
Yeah, to me, dude, this sequence, seeing this, how they built that, and someone must have greased it, and would you like to go to space? And this shot, which again we saw in the trailers, we're like, they're gonna do it, And happy birthday, kiddo. This is a thing that took a
Oh.
mighty effort to find.
Yeah.
And even before that, you gotta, you go to space, you need a helmet. And like, look at that, dude. That's Ellie. Like, look at that shit. And dude, just beautiful. Beautiful,
mean,
beautiful.
that-
I don't know
that
how you can make
museum-
a same piece of art and be like, you nailed it both times. It's like lightning doesn't strike twice usually. And it
No,
did.
not usually. I mean, that level, the museum, is literally my favorite level in like any video game I've ever played. I think I've said it a million times on the show. But yeah, just as soon as you, like you said, as soon as you just see them going on a hike next to a little lake or pond or whatever the fuck, I was already feeling it. I was like, oh my god. I was like, when I see a dinosaur, I'm gonna lose it. And then I lost it. And then when I saw them like go into the road to, and then someone's got it's like, oh, I lost it again. And then, dude, when they showed that capsule, I just fully lost. And I was like, yeah, I'm done. I was like, that's it. All right, I'm gonna be crying for like the rest of the episode now, probably. It was just phenomenal. And then them literally just keeping like a lot of the dialogue the same in that exact the cinematography of just the shots inside the capsule, the whole countdown, it being ripped directly out. I remember just being in awe when I was playing the game for the first time, and then I was in awe watching this too, because I was like, it's the exact same thing. Like, it's the exact same thing. Because I think like there's some moments in season 1 where they would try to directly rip stuff from the game, where I'd be like, all right, like it's good, but it's not like, perfect, but they did a good enough job. But like this, I was like, this is like basically everything they recreated in this episode that was from the game. I was like, this is perfect. Like, this is literally perfect.
Yeah, the T-Rex moment always really gets me because Jurassic Park is like a really hardcore like child memory for me.
Mhm.
That movie like traumatized me and became like my favorite thing ever at the time. So the fact that he sort of is like imbuing this dinosaur like outer space magic time for her is so hard to take, because that's like pretty much my childhood, that type of thing, those kind of interests or imagery, really. Yeah, it's just too much. You know what I mean? It's especially because of the show. Like, the show, we don't have the benefit of having spent as much time. So, in the show, it's really just like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, obviously, it's beautiful, but like, what's happening here?
Dude, the fact that they fucking went out of the way, and Craig said it because Craig had seen this sequence before the game came out, and he was like, when we do the show one of these days, we're gonna make that exactly the exact same way you're doing in the game. And when I heard that they went out of the way to do it like this and fully like make Ellie's imagination brought to life, and even the look on Joel, and again, it's a different Joel, different accent, but like the fact that they went out of the way and be like, I do okay, and that just that look that just kills me, and you see the tear on him being like, I think that's the proudest he's been. He's like, I did it. I didn't fail this one. I didn't fail at this moment. I didn't fail. I did good. And
like you said too, just like it took a mighty effort to find. Like, it's just like the little like the real Southern Texas shit that Joel says every now and then. Like, mighty thing, not just him saying mighty. I don't know. Joel saying mighty just hits, but yeah, like just keeping that. I was like, I loved hearing Pedro say that. Yeah, it was just
yeah.
The show is evil. It's just evil, Neil. Okay?
It's not the show. Neil was fucking evil. I love him, but Jesus Christ, man. Evil genius, fucker. Love you, but fuck you.
He suffered even the golf club. He even suffered a real life head injury, right? Was it not from a golf club or something like literally like that? But something like that literally happened to him in real life. I mean, obviously differences, but still head trauma, though. I'm saying.
I don't know if it was a golf club, but I remember him saying that like the day before he started his first day directing on the first game, something had bad happen with him visually, and so it was just like, oh fuck, I'm about to direct for the first time ever, and I got bad vision, and I think his kid had gone.
There's that too.
Yeah.
He genuinely had head trauma from something. I'm about to see if I can find it.
But yeah, Sam, do you have any thoughts on the sequence, or do you want to shed more tears?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was beautiful, man. I mean, I give a lot of credit to Bella pulling off like a younger Ellie in this.
Yeah.
She sold it. She sold it. And as much as she sold it, he gave. I don't know how to really describe it. Like a dad is always trying to figure out how to, compliment their kid, whether it is like giving them something as a surprise, or whether it is trying to be the overprotective one, or just being really cheesy. But when you get those kind of moments, you love to see them, and you love to see them succeed. So it was the perfect build up to, of course, when we get to the spacecraft. But yeah, it was near perfect. It was near perfect to me.
And that leads us into another year. And again, it's so brilliant and evil. Like every birthday, shit's gonna go down for better for worse. And
I thought that was an interesting structure too. That was really Ellie's birthday for every flashback. It made it hit a little bit different too. Like that they made it every event was on her birthday or right near it. I thought that was a very interesting choice too. Just figured I'd get that out for all of them.
No, yeah, and the fact that thank you, Joe, for letting know. Yeah, that it was a personal thing from childhood. The fact that the following year it's the teen years, hardcore, and you see that Ellie's expressing herself with Kat, and I was like, that's gonna be Kat, and then what the fuck's going on, and it's all the teenage shit all at once, and her saying experimenting with girls, and I didn't take that as bigotry. I just took that as shell shocked. And I love that the making of said that like his dad would have reacted differently compared to him, and how he just chose to be like, I don't know what's happening, but we need a break, and like, almost like in a grounded way, and be like, all right, let's just cool down and go away. And I love that even in that moment, Ellie was like, it wasn't sex and it wasn't a fucking experiment. And it's without her saying it, just like, this is who I am. And I love that when they came back, it wasn't even an argument about like, what she did and it's like how she went about it and the rules. And like, no, they gave you this house. You don't own anything. And that was so hard. Pedro, that shot of him looking at her and looking away was just like, fuck, she's growing up. And you see the sequence beforehand, and it's the thing that he got back that he lost with Sarah, but he lost Sarah before, I think, right before she went down those realistic teenage years, and now he's like, fuck, I don't know how to do this. Like I didn't get this with Sarah. I'm like, oh shit, how do I handle this? And I think he did. I love that he came back. He's like, okay, maybe we need to give each other space, and he gave her that space. Which again, he goes back to in episode 1 of like, I should have never let her go to the garage. I found that so, and I think even Ellie in that moment, she says, I'm not sorry for what I did. I'm just sorry that like I didn't give you a heads up or like baby step you to showing you who I am. Yeah. But then again, that's Ellie, and that's one thing that he loves about her as well. And I love that, like, all right, I'll fix it up. Just give me some day and two. And again, the love over there, like, can I see it? And he sees the tattoo and admiring it, being like, I like it. He's like, it's a little better than the one I gave you. And which goes into the moth talk of like, so yeah, like change and growth and whatnot. And it's just like, no, dad, that's not what it is. And I love that that he goes to Gail. She's fucking Catherine O'Hara. I was like, does it look like I have a fucking doctor's ensign from fucking Peanuts? And I'd be like, what the fuck? And he's like, what? So what does that change, right? No, that's butterflies. What's moth? Death. If you believe that shit. And I love that she's reading Earth Abides. And you'll hear this in the making of, but I've never read that book. It's a post-apocalyptic book, and it's something that he was absorbing at that time before game 1, because he wanted to take all the post-apocalyptic stuff, and that was one of his favorites. And so when they're like, what do you need? What book is Gail reading? Earth Abides. And apparently that book has a connection with Ish.
Really?
Yes. And I won't tell you more because I
Wow.
want you to read that making of, but like there's a connection between that book and Ish. And it's again the layers, man. Just
Jesus. I mean, I
oh
was gonna say that too. Like this episode, now that we're kind of getting into it, like all the little things that have been hinted at or addressed this season in Jackson in their lives was all addressed in this episode. Like Cat, like the joke where Dina made, like, oh, she's the other one. Like, you take her to the, like, you get that. You get the stuff with Gail and someone else that we'll get to it a little bit. Like, it's just like all the little threads that have been left about like they planted the seeds for this episode, which is why I think it made it so rewarding. Even just seeing, I mean, it was rewarding enough just to have Pedro come back, but on top of having Pedro come back, all these little seeds that were planted in the first episode, or really the first episode, honestly, the first episode laid the foundation for this episode in a lot of ways. And seeing all of it kind of just come to fruition was just really just like kind of masterful to watch, kind of all play out and in big ways too. Um, so yeah, I love that scene. And then yeah, it was interesting. You get to see Joel's relationship with Gail before, obviously it goes a little downhill. You could tell like maybe she wasn't always like super crazy about Joel. And then that was kind of just the straw that broke the camel's back after a while. But it's it's very interesting.
yeah, and I love that I love that there's even a tone shift with these flashbacks. They're like, okay, the brighter stuff and the color grading. And I want to just give a shout out to the cinematographer of this episode. Her name was
Gorgeous.
Xenia Serreta.
Mm-hmm.
Her team were so fans of the game that apparently a week before they started shooting the sequence with the space shuttle, they went and they went and like tested out every possible shot they can light the space shuttle. Even Joel playing guitar, like her and Neil spent so much time together, being like, okay, if we light it like this, it'll be just like the game. This is the shot where we need him looking down, the shot with the guitar, the shot of the rocks and whatnot. Like, I just want to give people, we're going ooh ah la. The crew, the muscle, the veins, the blood that runs through the show, that makes the stuff that we like, that makes those clothing, that lighting, that set come to life, what we had already seen in the game, and it's stuff that's already ingrained in our memories. Shout out to the crew. If any crew member, anybody working on that production, we fucking love y'all. We see the work, the blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah, like shout out to y'all. We don't deserve you, and I hope the fucking Emmys reward y'all and at least recognize y'all for the work you've done, because I can't imagine that you have to make that stuff, keep it a secret, and make it as connective for fans of the games, and yet be something that is new for folks who haven't played the games. And I'm very curious to see people who have never played the game that watch it like, oh, it's so beautiful. And like, oh yeah, watch this. And you showcase a video on top of it and be like, look, it's almost like the exact same thing in the game. Like, whoa, people can actually do this? And it's like, yes, they can. It just varies on the team you have making this, and the fact that Craig is a huge fan. And I was like, no, if it's perfect in the game, why the fuck would I change it?
Yeah.
And
if you have the right team that care about the material, it'll get done justice.
Yeah.
If you don't, well, we got a lot of examples of that. But I'm just happy that they did this the right way, and they showed the source material the love and care that it needs and deserves.
Yeah. Folks, I'm gonna have to cut the stream a little bit early just because it's the gift and curse of doing this stuff, that like you got stuff popping up and you're like, all right, I gotta work on this and this project. But I think it's apropos that we cut it a little bit early before we get to the latter half of the episode, because I think that gives time to Gianni to settle in and like digest this experience. And I promise we'll do another stream potentially this week. Hopefully everybody's schedules line up, or before next week or before next episode, to focus in on the latter half, because again, folks, we have a lot to say about what happened with Eugene.
Yeah.
We have a lot to say about You Swore. we have a lot to say. I'll put it up. I'll put the image up. We have a lot to say
that
about
just gives me
that.
chills looking at it alone. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
we have a lot to say about that, and we'll go into stuff of news that's popped up even today. I don't know if you've already read it, Johnny, or not, but apparently he didn't full out for like, yeah, we're doing, Craig, and I think it's already been reiterated. It said like we're probably going to need to do a season 4 to finish the whole story now. Like seeing
I didn't want
how
to say it earlier in the show, but when we were having a whole discussion on like losing viewers and stuff, I was gonna say I think people that played the game know what season 3 is gonna be.
yeah,
And if season 3 is going to be that, then you do need the season 4 to do the kind of like almost
bookend.
epilogue-ish,
Yeah.
like end of the game. So that
Yeah.
I didn't see that, but if I was a betting man, I would have put money on season 4 being the final season of part 2 because it just
Yeah.
makes sense with the structure so far.
And
That's
I think
pretty
that
much
also
my
makes
opinion.
sense with where Naughty Dog is at right now. They're working hardcore right now on Intergalactic. I can't wait to talk about that game and
Yeah.
start covering it. But
Give some
a
time.
lot of us here, we
You know what we want,
we need,
Neil. You know what to do, Neil.
we just need one more. We just need
That's it, Neil.
one more.
Give me one more, Neil. That's all I want.
That's all
One
I
more.
need. Just bookend it. Part 3, don't take decades like Godfather did.
Yeah.
Just like let's finish it, and just what? Just go watch Aliens and Logan. Just give me that with Ellie.
Yeah,
I'm
cool
okay.
with it, man. Yeah,
I'm okay.
that'd be great.
Johnny, thanks so much for spending the time to hang out with me every week, especially this time because I feel so bad that like you just watched it and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to put it through this after.
Oh no, I mean, that was just my raw, shocked emotions in the beginning of the stream. I'm not gonna have a lot of deep analytical things to say. It'd just be my raw emotions instead. But no, I mean, it was actually nice to kind of just like talk about it a little bit so it could help me process certain things, and you made me realize a couple of details too that I missed while watching it. So yeah, whenever we do part 2 of the episode 6 reaction, I'll have listened to the making of podcast, and I'll have watched the episode again with my parents, so I've seen it a second time. So I'll hopefully be a little bit more collected for the second half of the episode, where I think the second half is, first half gave me the fun stuff that I love to see at my favorite level ever, but
Yeah.
the second half is where all the real heavy hitters come out to play.
Yeah.
So, I think that does warrant a much longer discussion than the first half of the episode. Not to diminish what happens in the first half of the episode. The whole episode's amazing, but the second half is just wow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Please, Johnny, plug yourself. Where can people find you? And tell them about the cuts, man. Let people word out. Go to the shop.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you're in New York State, I'll say that. I won't fully dox myself, but I'm a barber. I went on a little trip to Barber Expo this weekend. That's why I only got to see the episode literally like an hour ago. Because I had to drive 2.5 hours away to Connecticut to go to a Barber Expo, but it was fun. I got to meet Vic Blends, for people that know him on social media and stuff. He's a very big person in the barber space. He cut Barack Obama's hair and a bunch of other celebrities and shit, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, so I'm busy barbering. That's usually why I don't stream or make videos as much anymore, but I want to try to get back on the horse at some point with that. But yeah, Johnny Bravo 6 on YouTube and Twitch, usually live on Twitch, but not so much on YouTube. So if you want content, hop over to Twitch. That's usually where I'm at these days.
Beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, folks. Again, timing and just opportunities. You gotta take advantage of them. But trust me, I have a lot to say about what happened with Eugene and a lot to say with this sequence. And so, as always, thank you so much for tuning into it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the enthusiasm. As I've always said each week, folks, the more this channel grows, the more my creative ideas can come into fruition. And if monetization starts playing better, I want to do crazy stuff on a lark. Even when stuff on a lark happen, I think that's when magical stuff can be built in on YouTube, on Twitch, on all the socials. So subscribe, grow the channel more, grow this presence out. If you know a Last of Us creator or another fan, tell them to come hang out with us, and we'd love to talk to them. I've said it. I want to have people from Brazil, like our friend Elise, people from Japan, people from around the world who are Last of Us fans. Let's just geek out together. And to quote Ellie, as always, to the edge of the universe and back. Endure and survive. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.